Hey, how you doing? We're going to take a look at a timber pitched roof. We're going to look at framing it out, and I'm going to use a beam system with timber rafters. Now, I'm just using the beam system for beam system, the beam system. I'm just using the beam system for the sake of speed, okay, to get the elements into the roof. Now, we're going to include a ridge board, and I'm also actually going to include a soffit board and a fascia board. And we're going to cut the rafters at the top to get a flush face on the ridge board, and we're going to cut the feet of the rafters to get the shape for the soffit on the fascia. Okay. Now I'm also going to include maybe a roof window and a few other bits and pieces to make it interesting, I guess. But anyway, let's just go and get it done. All right. Okay. As you can see, we have 4 walls and we have a roof. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to frame out the roof with rafters. Okay. And I don't need to see the walls. I just put the walls there to attach the roof to it. So do you know what I'm going to do for this view? I'm going to select the walls, and I could temporarily hide them, but I'll just hide them. Right click, hide in view, category. Okay. So now I just see my roof. Okay. Fine. Now the roof, I want to be able to see through it. So so we can see what's happening as it's happening. So I'm going to select the roof and edit type and edit the structure. You'll see it's just a simple roof. So you got the structural zone there where the rafters would be, battens and roof tiles, roof slates. Okay. Now I just have default roof in for the material for all of them. Just so you guys can see what I'm doing, I can go in there and change the transparency up to, I don't know, 95%. And okay, and okay, and okay. So now when we insert structural elements inside this roof, we can see them. Okay, simple enough. If you haven't already got it loaded, you're going to need to load in the structural framing family, dimensional lumber, from the metric library. I'm going to do that now. I'll do that by going to the insert tab. I could actually, no, do you know what? I'll go to the structure tab and I'll go to beam and load family. Okay, I'm already in the folder there. I'll just go back so you can see where it is. So in the UK metric library, it's in structural framing and then wood. And then I'm looking for dimensional lumber. Open. Now it's going to give me a bunch of options of which sizes to load in. They're irrelevant to me because these aren't standard sizes here. So I'm just going to pick one and I'm going to change it after I load it. So pick one and okay. I'm going to edit type, duplicate, and call this guy ridge board. I'm going to put the ridge board in first. Okay, I'll make that maybe a 38 by 225. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and place this ridge board in the 3D view, okay? Now I'm going to attach it using 3D snapping to the underside. I'm going to pick the two ends of the roof at the ridge, and I'm going to orient the beam, the ridge board, Z justification to bottom, okay? So it'll place at the bottom of that top of pitch, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So bottom, and I'm going to select the point, okay? Click, and then go and select the other point. I can tab into it if I need to, and click. Now, you see, it's not going to be in exactly the right position, but I can adjust that. So what I'll do actually is I'll go to my elevation, and I'm going to drop that down slightly. I want the rafters to have full face contact. So I'm going to drop that down by going into my Z offset value. I selected maybe minus 25 might do it. That might do it. I might come back and adjust that again. When you placed your ridge board, it may not have placed for you vertical like that, okay? If instead it placed for you like so, okay, that's because of the parameter orientation, okay? So select your ridge board and change it from normal to horizontal, apply, and that'll set it from the horizontal plane, okay? And that may be the case in other locations later in the video too. Now, while I'm still in this elevation view, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a reference plane across and align to the bottom of the roof at the soffit, okay? And I'm going to use that plane for putting a soffit board in. I'm actually going to put a soffit board in, not using the soffit tool. I'm going to use the structural framing tool, and I'll explain why a little bit later. This is not essential stuff, but you'll see why I'm doing it now in a few moments. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and do that. In the architecture tab, I'm going to put a reference plane in. I'll just draw it underneath, and then I'm going to align and lock it, okay? Modify, align with the lock pre-selected, pick the soffit of the roof, and pick that reference plane, and it's locked. Now, I'm going to select the reference plane and give it a name. It needs to have a name if you're going to use it as a reference plane for modeling. So click into it, and I'm just going to call it soffit. Enter. Okay. I should mention, actually, that just to make things simple, I made everything 150 millimeters. So the structural depth of the rafters is 150. The roof overhang on the roof is 150, and the fascia height is 150. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and use 18 mil boards for fascia and soffit, and I'm going to attach the roof structure to them and notch them and so on, and you'll see a bit of that later. But for now, I'm going to go into my wall plate plan, and I'm going to insert a fascia board. Okay, so I'm going to use structural framing again, beam in the structures tab, and I'll select my ridge board and edit type and duplicate. I'm going to call this guy the fascia. Okay, and I said 18 mil thick and 150 high, and okay. Now I'm going to place it on the soffit, I think, reference plane. Okay, so select from the drop down list here and select that soffit reference plane that we just created. And I'm going to orient from the bottom. You can change that, retrospectively. I'm going to go from grid to grid. I'm outside the roof. I know that. I'm going to just go into a maybe a section view, and I will align that in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and double click on the section head to open this section. I'm going to zoom in, and there's my ridge board right there. Okay, I'm going to go to my modify tab, and using my align tool with the lock pre-selected, I'm going to pick the face of the roof fascia and tab to select the outside of the fascia board beam that I just made. Okay, and lock it in. Okay, now I want to create a soffit that goes from here. I'm going to go past the render into the blockwork. Okay, so it's 157 millimeters, and this time I'm going to put it underneath the reference plane. So I'll go back into my wall plate plan, and I'll go to my structures tab and create a beam. Fascia, I'm going to edit type and duplicate and call it soffit. Okay, so this time it's going to be flat, so the B value there goes from 18 to 257, and then the height is only 18. And okay, now the reference plane should still be the same as last time, but I'll just double check. There it is, reference plane soffit. I'm going to change the orientation, the Z justification from bottom to top this time, and go from grid to grid, and then do the same thing. Pop into my section and align and lock it in. Align. I'll pick modify the align tool, edge of the blockwork, tab to the edge of the soffit. I've obviously got the wrong width there. I'll fix that now in a moment. I'll click on edit type, and yes, look, I put in 257. That was supposed to be 157. Let's change that value and okay. Remove constraints, that's fine. And I'll line it back in to the edge of the blockwork, tab, find it, lock. Now, I want to bring that fascia down. I could bring it flush, but I want to just bring it just past the soffit. Okay, so I'll go down maybe minus 25. So with the fascia board selected, I'll go to my Z justification and make that minus 25 ish. Okay, and now if you look in 3D, we have a ridge board and a soffit board and a fascia board. Now you don't need to model a fascia and soffit structural framing like this in Revit. Generally speaking, there's a fascia tool in the roof tools, and there's a soffit tool as well. This is for the purpose of framing, okay, and for notching. So let's get busy doing that. Do you know what? Actually, just to make it a bit clearer, I'm going to change the material representation. So if I select the ridge board there, they're all using the same material, wood dimensional lumber. So I'll click into that material in the properties and just give it a background color, okay, in elevation. So solid fill, okay, set color, pick something up here. Doesn't have to be anything in particular, but yeah, it looks good. Okay, okay, and okay. Just take a moment. And then that'll make it a bit clearer on screen, okay? I'm going to trim extend these fascia and soffit to the end of the roof as well. Do the other side too. Tab, pick, and pick. Brilliant. Okay, escape. Now we're going to need a new type for our rafters. So what I'll do there is I'll just select that ridge board and create similar, edit type, duplicate, and we'll call it 150 by 44. Okay. So B value is 44 and 150 depth. Okay. I'll just draw that there, escape, and delete it. Now, we're going to create a structural frame, okay? So a beam system. Okay, so we're going to create a beam system with that rafter beam in it, and we'll just spread that across the roof, okay? I want to create the beam system uh, on the reference plane of the bottom face of the roof pitch, okay? So over here on the bottom pitch. So I need to set the work plane. So we'll go to set and pick plane, select, okay. Then I can tab or just find the bottom face of the roof and select it. So now the work plane that we're working on is the bottom. If we model anything, it's on the bottom face of the roof. Okay, so I go to, again, back in my structure tab to beam system. Just have a fixed distance, fixed spacing, 400 millimeters, fine. Justification, beginning, you could do center, whatever. Now, actually, you'd more than likely want to do this with individual rafters, but the beam system just allows me to do it quickly and throw it up on the screen, okay? So beam type, make sure we have the one we just created, 150 by 44. Perfect. And then I'm going to pick supports. I'm going to pick the ridge board, and I'm going to pick the fascia board. You don't have to pick the fascia board, by the way. You could just pick a line on the edge of the roof, which is what I'm going to do now for the rest of it. Pick lines, pick the edge of the roof, pick the edge of the roof, and then I'm going to trim to corners. Select trim, select trim, and we need to change the direction. Okay, see this guy here? This guy here with the double line, sorry, it's a triple line. So it's a line either side of the line, let's say. Okay, that's indicating the direction of span. Okay, so if I click OK on this now, I'll just do it to show you. It's going to have the rafters going to cross the roof. Okay, like so, which is obviously the wrong direction. So we click Edit Boundary again, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the span and put it on one of the sides. It doesn't matter which one actually. So beam direction, select it here. Okay, and then pick the line. Now that'll change the direction of the rafters. And OK. Now, you will see that they automatically place the beam system automatically placed with the orientation of the beam as the top. So I'm going to select one of those guys, right click, and select all instances, entire project. I'm going to change that from justification Z top to bottom. Apply. And now we have our rafters along the bottom face of the roof where they should be. Okay. Now you'll see that they're stopping short of the ridge board, and well, they're going through the fascia, which is fine. We're going to just make some adjustments to bring it past the ridge board, and then we'll notch it back in again. Okay. I want to run those rafters through the ridge board a bit and through the fascia so that they can notch on nicely. Okay. So I'm going to pick one of them again, right click, and select all instances in entire project. Okay. Now the start extension, I'll bring that out maybe 200 millimeters. Apply. Perfect. Now the end extension is not selectable at the moment, so I'm going to use end join cutback, which is the top, and that's going to have to be a minus value. Let's say minus 200. Okay. Apply. And that's enough to bring me through both boards and get a notch. Perfect. Okay. Escape. If I go into my modify tab now and find the notch tool, okay, button right there in the ribbon, select it, zoom in, select my rafter. Watch this. Select the ridge board. Perfect. Now, it's actually not perfect. It's notched, but it's not sitting on the face of the ridge board. Okay. So all you need to do there is select that rafter and scroll down to notching distance in properties. And just change that to 0. And it'll notch nicely onto the face of the ridge board. So you could do that over and over and over across the roof, and maybe I'll do that. So notch, select rafter, select ridge board, rafter, ridge board, rafter, ridge board, rafter, ridge board. I'll do one of those, here's one I prepared there, earlier ones. Okay, done. Okay, I spared you. I went across and finished the rest of them off screen. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. I'm going to notch onto the fascia and the soffit. Okay. So watch this. Same thing. Same tool. Notch tool. Select. Select the rafter. Select the fascia. Now you see it's actually notched around the fascia. Okay. So we need to notch again. Select and pick this soffit. And look at that. Isn't that fantastic? Nice. It is very satisfying. You gotta say. So I'll do it again once or twice, and then I'll finish it off screen. So select the rafter, select the fascia, select the rafter, select the soffit. Okay. Now you could do that maybe in an end view like that, and just do all the fascia parts and then all the soffit parts or whatever. Now, doesn't that look nice? One thing I forgot to do actually, I only changed the notch distance on one. Remember that was an instance parameter. Okay. So I'm going to select one of these rafters, right click, and select all instances in entire project. And scroll down to where is it gone now? Notch distance varies, put in 0 and apply. So you can see that in section. It's nice. Okay, 3D. Now you could finish there, quite happy with yourself. But what we're going to do is I'm going to throw a roof window onto it. Okay, so I have a Velux loaded. I think window. Yep, there it is. I just stick that on the roof. Escape, escape. I'll look at the top view and just make that a little bit easy for myself. Maybe center that like roughly like so. Fine. Rotate. I'm going to hide the window, so temporary hide element. But I have the roof opening visible, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to select my beam system. So if you bring your cursor down to the bottom face of the roof, you'll find it there. Tab to find it if you need to. Select it and edit boundary. Okay, now I'm going to pick lines with lock selected, okay? I'm going to pick the edges of that roof opening, okay? And select OK to finish edit mode. And our beam system is cut. Now it's reverted back. The rafters are reverted back to justification top. I'm going to select them and change them back to justification bottom and apply. Okay, so that's obviously not a finished solution, and we need to notch it as well. Actually, look, yeah, we need to select and change the end joint cutback of these two guys now again. So what would we did minus 200, wasn't it? Apply. And we'd have to pick the bottom ones then as well and do the same thing. So start extension was 200. Apply. So we'd have to notch them on again, but I'll leave that for now. So we're going to want to double on each side of the opening. I'm not going to be precise about this, okay? I'm just going to double this one up, okay? So if I go to top and move that, copy that guy across 46. It's 44 mil thick, but I just left a 2 mil gap just so that you can clearly see them in the 3D render views. And select this guy. Nope, no, select that guy and copy across 44. Oh, sorry, 46. So do it again. Push it out 2 mil. Okay. Go back into my 3D view. I want to trim out that opening at the top and bottom. Okay, and let me see. We need a reference plane, which is already set, but you know what? I'll do it again just in case. So set, pick plane. It's the bottom tab to find the bottom of the roof face. Okay, and there we're good. I'm going to just rotate this a little bit and go to top view on the cube and go into structure, beam, user 150 by 44 again, and go from rafter to rafter. We can adjust the location afterwards and do it again over here, just below. Again, we can adjust the location after, okay? It's snapping to those supports, okay? So if we if we go to the wall plate plan and put our section through the window, which it is, I can then align and lock those trimmers. Okay, so modify, align to the opening, tab, and lock. Align to the opening, tab, and lock. Perfect. Go back into 3D, and you'll see that the rafters are now neatly trimmed to the trimmer. Brilliant. Now you could do some of this notching, or not notching, but a similar effect by using reference planes and cutting the timbers. And I've done that quite a few times. It works pretty well in a lot of ways, but what doesn't work very well is that the part that's been cut off the timber remains visible in an elevation. I'm not really sure the reason, and maybe that's a glitch that's been worked out in a later version of Revit. I'm not sure, but the way we've done it, the way we've aligned everything to the roof and to each other, you can adjust the roof like so, and all our timbers went with it. Isn't that fantastic? I do hope you found that useful. If you did, as usual, like, comment. I do appreciate the comments, by the way. And if you haven't already, you know what to do. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks.